Well, happy birthday to Disneyland, 67 and still young. We're very excited to talk about the fact that Tomorrowland's going to see some changes, and the Food and Wine Festival has hit Epcot, and we've got details for you all tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for July 17th, 2022. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for finding us on WDWNT-TV. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video as it helps people to find us, chat tonight with us, super chat, whatever makes you feel good. And tonight we're going to be talking about a lot of things, and we got a lot of people to talk to you about it, starting with Shannon.
Hello, happy birthday, Disneyland.
Kamila.
Hi, everyone. Happy birthday, Disneyland.
Charlie.
Hi. I don't know why there was a pause. I guess saving, you have to save up for it.
Well, and also Pete. Pete Carney, everybody.
Steve, hello, everyone. So excited to be back on ParksCenter, and a big happy birthday to Disneyland in California.
Yeah, so we got a big crew with us tonight. Charlie is our Disneyland correspondent. He is our Universal and Hollywood correspondent. This is his first time on, so please make him feel welcome. He certainly has already made himself feel welcome, so we're good on that end.
I belong here.
Tonight, one thing you may notice is our times guide is off. We had some technical difficulties with that. Pretend like there is a times guide there. We're going to follow the times guide. I can see the times guide. I don't know why you guys can't see the times guide. But it's, you know what, it's Disney. Use your imagination. That's really what it's all about here. The first thing we want to talk about is, I don't know, the Food and Wine Festival, right? I mean, that's the big scoop on the East Coast is the Food and Wine Festival. So we brought Mr. Carney on here because he's been spending a lot of time talking about food and wine. So Pete, at first, like, just what are your thoughts? Is this the best Food and Wine Festival ever?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's the best one ever, but it feels like it because we haven't had a real Food and Wine Festival here in years. So I am very excited. I moved down, we got one festival, and then COVID hit, and it's been really just a taste of it. So I'm excited that it's back. We have real musical artists. Eat to the Beat is back. It's nice seeing the place filled with booths. And the crowds haven't been that crazy, so it's been pretty nice. I was there Thursday and Friday, the first 2 days, and they were very manageable, the crowds, and the wait times were pretty decent. So, and the entertainment's coming back. So yes, I'm very excited for Food and Wine. So it feels like the best one ever because it's been so long.
Well, you mentioned COVID. What's that?
Oh, well,
never mind. No. We're good. We're good. I know, Shannon, you enjoy a good Food and Wine Festival. Have you taken a look at the menus, seen stuff that like you can't live without, or are you like, it's the same old thing as always?
No, I'm ready for it. I feel like Food and Wine has lost a little love in the last few years. When Festival of the Arts came in, everyone says this is their least favorite festival now, but I've always loved it because it does tend to have safer food choices. Some of my favorites are coming back, the Fisherman's Pie, the Canadian cheddar cheese soup. So it's a great go-to. I can't wait to go back there in just a few months and see it in action.
So yeah, there are a lot of things that are returning. There are a lot of things that are brand new. One of the things that's brand new is apparently Italy food is good now. Whoa! Talk to me, man. I'm under the impression that it's better now. Well, I mean, you tell me.
Now. I don't know if we're saying it's good. It's edible. It's manageable. It's something that like you would give your kids out of the microwave. Like it's good enough for your microwavable kids' food, but it's not gourmet by any means. Especially right next to Spain, which has the paella. I know they have it every year, but it just hit different this year. It was so delicious. One of my highlights from this year. So I don't know. Let's not get crazy. I did try the Italian food, and it wasn't awful. It just wasn't good either, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Kamila, do a lot of people book specifically for this festival? I mean, I feel like there is always a festival, so like, do they care more about this one?
Yeah. You know what? I feel like with most families, which is what I mostly work with, we're still trying to get them to just go to Epcot, period. So I wouldn't say people are booking around this, but I do feel like still this is the big festival. If you've never been to a festival at Epcot, this is the one to start with. I think it will give you the biggest range. And I love how this festival in particular, the last few years especially, they've been using characters and creating like special merchandise around it. I personally have a lot of the Be Our Guest pieces, and I want to get some of the Tiana pieces. So this is the one that I get excited about.
Okay, that's fair enough. So, Charlie, let me ask you this, because have you ever been to the Epcot Food and Wine Festival? I know you spend most of your time on the West Coast. You have. Do you look at the Epcot Food and Wine Festival as like secondary to the California Food and Wine Festival?
I'm going to make a lot of Californians angry. It's so much better than the California Food and Wine Festival. It's not even a comparison. The California Food and Wine Festival, when it first started before the whole overhaul of the park, was really good, and they did the big stadium cooking demonstrations, and you could have little bites of everything, and a lot of those guys have moved up in the ranks and become head chefs at some of the best restaurants on property. And it just had more of like a connected feel. So even if the food was only okay, you at least get that personal touch. Now that it's all out of booths, the food's been pretty mediocre every year up to this year. And Epcot, the couple of times that I've been out there for it, it just blew me away because it wasn't anything. I thought I knew what to expect from a Disney food festival, and it really blew my mind. One, because the food is great, and two, because there's just so much of it, and it's so much cheaper than it is out here in California, that if you don't like something, it's like, well, there's $4 gone instead of, $9 or $14.
Whoa, I don't know what year you came, but we caught up to you guys. It is $8, $9, $10 as well.
So one of the things that drove me nuts, and Charlie and I did the Food and Wine Festival out in California together this year, but one of the things that drove me nuts was the whole idea you can go into a booth and buy all the food you want from all of the booths at the same booth, and then take your receipt to the others. But that means that there's a line to pay. And Kamila, I see you're shaking your head. There's a line to pay, and then there's another line to pick up, and so it's like double the line, and it seems way out of control. And Kamila, you've experienced that before as well, right?
Yeah, I think there's so many unique things they do with the food festivals that they have out in DCA in California, and that's one of them. There are also times where, you have to do it that way because they're not able to take cash or credit at the booth. So it feels like there's always something unique going on. But yeah, I feel like at Disneyland in particular, people are always looking for the advantages. And once they figured that out, it became a trick. And so everyone did it, and it just didn't work as intended.
Yeah. The one thing I thought was different about California was things seemed more exotic. Like they took more risks as far as the food was concerned. The peanut butter mac and cheese with Pop Rocks in it. Who came up with that idea? I don't know. And then meanwhile, Epcot says, hold my beer, peanut butter and jelly sticky wings. Pete, did you try these?
I didn't, two reasons. One, I was a little full at this point, so I wasn't like dying to try something new. And two, I know this is weird, I don't like peanut butter and jelly. I know I'm the worst.
I'm sorry. It's
don't. It's not the only thing on this planet I think I won't eat. To be fair,
don't like peanut butter and jelly. I
like them separate. I just don't think they belong together. I think they've had their run, and they should do
Have you ever heard the expression "it goes together like peanut butter and jelly"? Have you heard that expression?
No, it goes together like garlic and oil. We're changing it to that.
I guess one of the other things I thought was cool this year was the fry basket. I don't know again if that's one.
I'm pissed about this.
All right. Well, I'll let you have your moment first, sir.
Well, I'm just saying, we were very excited for the fry basket. New booth. Whenever there's a new booth, we get very excited. We were saving it towards the middle of the day when we were going to eat. And also, my other half, Lauren, loves French fries. It's her favorite thing on the planet. We go to have fries. They're sold out of fries. They said, we'll make you drinks if you want. So we order the drinks to try the drinks. But they had no fries. We were fired up. So then we go back the next night, Friday. and the whole booth is closed completely. So I never got a chance to try these, and now everyone's saying that they're so delicious, and I'm a little bummed. No fry. They run out of fries on the first day. The fry basket. Come on.
All right, Shannon, pretend like there are fries. You said you were excited?
Yes. I'm going to rope drop to get those fries. I'm going to make sure that it's not closed when I'm there.
Well, I mean,
fries will be had.
It does sound like you have to rope drop to get the fries. Like, that's crazy. I feel like the recipe for fries is potatoes. Like, again, like it's kind of like Taco Bell and this whole Mexican pizza. And sorry, we're sold out. I'm sorry, you have no more cheese, no more beans, no more, what is it you're sold out of? The tostada? That should be pretty easy to get. Food Lion has them right down the street. But so I just don't the idea of them being sold out of this. But obviously this was a big deal for most people. As a matter of fact, people who know that I'm a Disney, let's just say fan and not fanatic, would come up to me and go, "Oh, did you see that? You know, they have this fry thing now." They have no idea what they're talking about, but apparently the fry basket has made, like, you know, national attention. So, pretty exciting. Sorry to hear about the Italian food. I've always thought the Italian food was the safest bet, and, you know, to hear, Pete, that it's not great still, it seems kind of frustrating.
Again, like, I think it's a fun story because how much we despise it normally, but it's not awful. It's just not great either. Like, I wouldn't make it one of your priorities. There's so much better food at this festival than Italy.
Okay. Fair enough. By the way, the Times Guide is going full blast on my end, so just in case you were wondering, we're still doing well on time. I wanted to save a lot of time to talk specifically about this because I don't know, kick it. I have no idea what's going on. Just because there were a lot of different things about this festival. It just launched last Thursday. Everybody loves a good festival. Merch. I mean, that's me. That's my wheelhouse right there. We've got annual pass holder merch. We've got this Mickey and Minnie pizza themed merch. I don't know who asked for this. And then the
This is cool.
Princess Tiana merch.
I like the pizza merch.
Okay. What is it specifically you like about the pizza merch?
Well, I'm from the tri-state area, so I love quality pizza and I love pizza in general. So if you're going to give me pizza merch with Mickey,
well, you know, this isn't actually pizza. It's just merchandise. It's shaped like pizza, right? Yeah, I just want to make sure you knew that. I know that it looks like pizza. Looks like a pizza box. The plates are cut into pizza slices.
Adorable.
Okay. All right. Well, I will make sure after you buy yours to check in with you and see how much you love it. So, but again, like from a merch standpoint, and again, Charlie, I'm gonna throw this one to you to compare and contrast. Is I feel like that Epcot goes way above and beyond what California does when it comes to merch.
Epcot has so much merch that it overflows into Disneyland. We got a lot of the flower and garden merchandise here for no reason. And, you know, we don't really need it because we have plenty of merchandise that doesn't sell here because we're mostly locals and we're not going to spend, you know, the amount of money that they charge on a lot of this stuff. So I was just at the Disney outlet earlier today and everything is on sale because it's not selling in the parks. And then to have this much Epcot merchandise, and at first I was, you know, I'm an Orange Bird fanatic. I'm happy to use that word. So I was very happy to see all these little things without having to fly across the country to get them. But it's unnecessary. Like, it has no tie-in to anything. We don't need Figment. We have no need for it. So please take it back.
We did talk about that last week, about how it's really strange, like Cosmic Rewind stuff showing up in California where they do not have that attraction. Yeah, it is pretty bizarre.
And it's sad because I remember back in the day, back when I was a kid, you'd go into a shop in Disneyland and it was stuff that was featured specifically to that land. It wasn't necessarily character oriented. It wasn't, made in Thailand garbage. There was real stuff there. You could buy a Pendleton sweater in Frontierland at the Frontierland trading post, like stuff like that, where if you're going to spend the money, you at least get something really nice out of it. And it fits the land. But now in Frontierland, we just have a smattering of everything. We have Epcot stuff. We got the whole Mexico Pavilion collection, which is really cute, and it kind of fits, and it's right next to the Encanto stuff. And it just, we just have everything crammed into one place because there are shelves, so we must fill them.
You're welcome. You know what, Shannon? I think he's going to take your award for saltiest panelist tonight. So you really got to step it up. I'm a little salty though that you would ever defame Figment, because Figment is he's the goat, and he's a dragon. But when you look at this, like the stuff they put together, you like that? That was good. Like this oven mitt and this apron, I think that's kind of some of the coolest Food and Wine Figment stuff I've seen in a while, because a lot of times they take Figment and they kind of morph him into something that's not quite Figment and put him all over everything. So I don't know. I think that's pretty exciting.
I just want to say too, I agree with Charlie. It kind of bugs me to see merchandise out of place. Like, I get that there's shelves and they have to fill them and they have to sell it somewhere, but it is a little frustrating. I don't want to see even Parks merchandise in the wrong park, let alone if I don't know, if I was at Disneyland. If you want to buy Epcot stuff, I guess it's cool, but to me it doesn't fit, it doesn't work. It's kind of, I guess, I don't know, I'm a little bitter because I feel like they're just shoving things into places and things aren't as organized, or I don't know. This is a whole nother rant. Let's just move on. Forget it.
I agree. I'm with you all the way.
No, and again, we talked about that last week, and I specifically pointed out the Cosmic Rewind stuff, but I was in California when the Orange Bird stuff came in and the Alice in Wonderland UK stuff came in, and it doesn't hide what it is. It says on there UK Pavilion on that stuff, so it really kind of, it bothers me that it's not as special, and Tom kind of mentioned the fact that he went all the way to Disneyland Paris for something that now they're selling Yeah, now they're selling it. No, he went to Disneyland Paris to buy something that now they're selling in the Paris Pavilion at Epcot. So the France Pavilion at Epcot.
Though, at the Pim Kitchen in Paris, they had California merchandise.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is all the same.
So it's even
stuff
across the Atlantic, like it's across the country and the Atlantic. Oh, that's so great. That looks like I can't even make fun of that because I sweat more than that on Thursday. That is actually looks dry.
You know what is positive, though? I'm happy that sporks are still a thing. Now, I am salty that I still never got a Figment spork. And I even searched for you, Rob, when I was there.
Well,
but that Remy spork better be there come September when I'm rolling into town.
Yeah, this one.
But I'm happy they live on in different forms, yeah.
Well, and that was going to be my question, too, is when we kicked off the what was it? Which one was the Figment popcorn bucket? Was that Festival of the Arts, or was that that was Festival of the Arts, right? And the 7-hour lines. You would think they would have gone, hey, people seem to like these popcorn buckets. Let's make sure to have one for day one of Food and Wine. So here's this again. Will these run out, Pete? Oh, whoa, my gosh! All right, Pete's got.
No.
So yes, they will run out, is what you're saying.
How much? Pete? Why, Pete? Why did you do that? Why? Did you push a little kid out of the way and buy them all?
I said I'll take 30 sporks, and she goes, "All right, that'll be like $9, whatever." And I was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, 30. She said, "Oh, I thought you said 3." I was like, "She's like, we're gonna have to go find more." I'm like, "No, I'll just take whatever you have." So I just sold them out, and they were like, "We have more." Like I was like, "I want to save some for others." They were like, "No, we have plenty of boxes in the back." I was like, "Okay." And Tom's gonna hate him saying this, but I did get them for Patreons on my channel. But, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm a nice guy. I want everyone to get a sport, because then you have people like Shannon who never gets one, so I had to make sure everybody got a sport.
Figment ones went like this. Spike the Bee seemed to not be able to go away, no matter how many songs our channel wrote about it. And so it really is weird to me that, like, I like that it's a different color. That's cool. It's it's Remy. It's Food and Wine. That's nice. It specifically says Food and Wine on it, though. I don't know. Does anybody know? Did Spike the Bee say Flower and Garden on it?
I have them.
Oh, you just happen to have one. And does it say Flower and Garden on it?
It does. Does it have the year on blind? It says Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival. No year.
Okay.
They're not making that mistake with the year again.
Yeah, right?
No, they're not.
But the popcorn bucket thing, why didn't they do a popcorn bucket, Kamila? I love popcorn buckets.
Well, it's still early. Maybe we'll get one. You never know. That's the magic.
The magic? I'm not sure magic is the word I would use. Although we did, and I'm looking for it now, we did happen to just receive this Flower and Garden merch.
Yes.
Like, the Flower and Garden merch just landed. But by the way, why did it take them so long to make Topiary plush? Doesn't that seem like they should have done that years ago?
No. Oh, yeah, well, I guess you're right on that.
Although I think Charlie might be able to buy this at the outlet because I think that adding that little pot to it does.
It's hideous and it's so adorable, and I need it beyond all reason.
Me too.
It looks like a cute dog toy.
It's so hideous you need it. You know, even though the Times Guide isn't showing, it did show that we're out of time. But one thing I wanted to ask you about before we move on from Food and Wine Festival, and Pete, I don't know if you've seen this in person, is the beacon. So we've got the Be Our Guest Beacon Magic Show, or Beacon of Light show. We did for I guess it was Rainbow Connection for the Festival of the Arts, and it was Colors of the Wind for Flower and Garden. So have you seen this one in person, Pete?
I didn't see the VR Guest one in person yet. I was just too tired both nights, and I usually exit through the International Gateway. But I do love that they have these, and I love seeing them at the end of the night, and it's special, and it's just another nice thing to do. Like when you're walking out of the park, you hear the music start, you turn around, and it's nothing crazy, but it's just a beautiful little moment in the park, and it's such a welcome addition. I love the beacon at the end of the night.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a great thing that they do. I'm excited to see it in person. I think that I did see Rainbow Connection in person, but I didn't see the one for Colors of the Wind. So, do you think? Shannon, I don't know if you've seen any of these in person, but do you think that they will do exactly the same ones for the festivals next year, or do you think they'll switch it up?
I hope so, because I loved Rainbow Connection. I did get to see that one. I thought it was a quick little thing, but it was really special, and it gave you a reason to go to the front of the park. Because I, too, use International Gateway.
La-di-da. Okay, wow, all right.
I'm bougie, Rob.
I mean, we've made no secret of that. What was it you reached out to me about the other day? I can't remember that you were like that you said
in Charleston. I was being bougie in Charleston last weekend. That's why I couldn't make the 15th anniversary. So
yep, there you go.
Sorry to everyone.
So let's move on to the next one. Cosmic Rewind. Apparently, I don't know if this was just an accident that had happened, but Gloria Stefan came and rode Cosmic Rewind, which Conga is one of the songs that is featured on Cosmic Rewind. The funny thing to me about this is, first of all, she looks like she's crying. Was she crying because she just wrote it and she was feeling so sick she couldn't stand it, or?
I think she's mid-word. Did you want to watch the video? She was there with her family. She brought her kids and her grandkids, and then they were asking her, like, how does it feel to have your song immortalized in this ride? And by the way, it is great on Rewind. It's a great song. I saw that she was just talking about that and how, like, when the song came out, she had kids, and now her kids have kids, and then she got to take the whole family, and they were like, and then her husband was like, this is the best ride at Disney, which it is. It really is the best ride.
What I find funny about that is that I love, like, asking the cast members that have ridden it, like, 90 times each, what is your favorite song? And almost always they say their least favorite is Conga. True story. The first one they usually say is September is their favorite.
September is the one that I want. And I haven't ridden it yet, but I've watched the ride-throughs of most of the songs, and I feel like September is a vibe. Conga, I don't know. I don't know that one, for me, I would hope I don't get that one, if I'm being honest.
You know what's funny, too, is that, Charlie, Guardians Tower, like, do you even care which song you get when you go on that?
I do, just because I want to get them all. I still haven't had the Jackson 5, I Want You Back. I've done all the other ones, and some of them are better than others, but they're all pretty good selections. There's no weak links, so I don't really mind which one I get. I just always hope to finish that and see them all.
Yeah, okay. That's fair, and it changes.
I agree with Charlie about Guardians here. It's funny because the only song I've done it, I don't know, probably like 25 times so far, and the only song I haven't done was September, which everyone says is the best one, but I've gotten all the other ones multiple times. Do I have a favorite? I love Iran. Like, that's probably one of my favorites that I get, but they're all so much fun, and like Charlie, like, you just kind of want to do them all. So, and it's the same roller coaster experience, you're just hearing something different, but it really does change how, like, the vibe of the ride, but it's just fun. They're all great. It's like picking a favorite child.
Well, so the first one I did was Everybody Wants to Rule the World from Tears for Fears, and when I wrote it, I was like, I can't get any better than this one. This one is perfect for that because the vibe as you're riding through is just so chill. And then I did Iran, and I was like, That one's kind of a bop. I like that one. But every cast member I talked to, September was the best. And I actually know a cast member who works Cosmic Rewind, and I said, I've talked to some cast members who said Congo was the best. And he went, wait, our cast? Like, he was like shocked. Like, what? No, that's not the one. But again, for Gloria Estefan, I think that's great. Let's get a flock of seagulls out there to ride it and have them do an interview and, all that kind of stuff. I think that would be great to see all of them on there. But it's interesting how much I feel like the music is more important to this attraction than it is to the one in California. What were you going to say, Kamila?
I was just going to say really quickly, I feel like also there's something about like, what can I imagine Groot actually dancing to? Because like that's such an iconic moment in those films. And I don't know, for that one, it's like, I'm trying to imagine, I mean, he absolutely could do it. But it's like all the other songs, I feel like I see the dance,
Okay. That's fair. I mean, whatever makes you happy, that makes me happy. And as long as there's no boats involved, we are all good.
That's right.
So let's move on, like just right next door to the Play Pavilion, because we've heard that there is now there's a permit being filed for the Play Pavilion, and it looks like that the permit goes through the end of 2024. What? This thing? Shanna, I see you shaking your head. I feel like, is this thing going to open, like, I don't know, ever?
This is like Tron news, like train news on board. I'm tired of hearing about it.
Okay. Pete?
Right?
Yeah.
I just think it was great that it came out with the same time that we said Bob Chapek gets 3 more years, and your Play Pavilion will take at least 3 more years. So I say, what will happen first? A new CEO or the Play Pavilion?
Do you think it's just that he has a vendetta against the Play Pavilion, and so therefore they're not going to open it until he's out? Do you think that's what it is?
No, he just the word "play" is just such a joyful and fun word, and he hates things that are joyful and fun. So
fair.
He just wants to keep this as long as possible on the back burner.
Okay.
If this was
Probably
like the
still an
Thunderdome, we'd be
active-
like, oh, okay, that I'm into. But this is, children smiling, cancel it.
What were you going to say, Shannon?
There's an active crime scene in there still with Buzzy. They're still trying to figure that one out.
That's right. They're fingerprinting.
You think it's all police tape all over it? I don't know. The funny thing to me is that we report on everything at WDWNT. We report when they've replaced concrete, or that they've, put less salt on a pretzel or whatever. But when it goes to the Play Pavilion, we covered the fact that they redid the roof, and then they redid it again. And so the roof, she good. But when it comes to the rest of like this building, I'm told by sources that the inside's ready to go, but maybe that's not the case, and that this is going to be a very staff-intensive attraction, which I get, because all the things that we've seen teased about, like the drawing class and some of the other stuff, is going to require people to be inside to work it. But the thing that was off-putting to me when I rode Guardians and walked by this is they've made what look like permanent, and Mr. Construction Guy Pete, you could tell me if you've seen this too, permanent curbs, and then landscaping and fencing in front of the thing, almost to make it disappear. Everything but painting it go away green.
Yeah, I think that honestly, curbs, they may seem like a big deal. I guess they kind of are. But if this wasn't going to open for at least 3 years, then I hope that they're putting a curb in. That should be the Disney pride that we look for. I don't want to see the same construction wall or just hedges for 3.5 more years before this opens. If they know it's going to take that much time, then yeah, they should install some curbs and make this literally, like you said, disappear. That's the Disney touch that we used to really love. So I hope that's the case. Because then they can always chop that curb up. It'll take 2 guys 8 hours to chop that curb in front of there.
Yeah. The thing, though, is that I guess I thought it was still a COVID problem, but clearly we've cured it. I don't know, because everything else seems to be coming back. And they brought the Pooh honey wall back, which I never thought would be a thing again. So, the fact that this is not open yet is kind of weird to me. Let's move on to something a little lighter. So a man brought a gun into the park. Wait a minute. No, that's... So, but here's the thing about this. if you read through this story, so, I feel like we've had so many police blotter type stories recently that happen with people bringing guns in the parks or, getting caught with drugs and swallowing them and insecurity and all that kind of stuff. And I always just assume half of that is Pete Carney just messing around. But when you go in and you see the fact that in this article, he looked at his wife and said, or the girlfriend or whoever, and said, did you take it out? Like, I took my gun backpack with me to Disney and just happened to leave it in there. I mean, I feel like more of this stuff happens. Does more of this stuff happen, Charlie, in Florida, or do we just not hear as much about the stuff that happens in California?
It happens in California. I think probably not quite as much because we don't have, as many people from around the world thinking they can get away with stuff. Like people from here have kind of been around LA a little bit, hopefully, because you don't just come out for Disneyland, you come out to see, the Hollywood sign and everything else. And so, walking around, no matter where you're from, if you walk around in certain parts of LA for half a day, you realize you're not the toughest person in the world. So you probably don't think you can, strap a gun to yourself and get away with things. So I don't think it happens as much here versus Florida. You just kind of fly in and forget you have it, get through TSA, and they're not as thorough as Epcot.
I was going to say, but also, too, just California laws and the California culture is very, very different from Florida laws and culture.
Yes.
And I don't think it's so much people who are flying in. As a matter of fact, I think other countries are way safer. I think it's people who are just driving down because they keep them in their car. I mean, they're not packing a gun on an airplane to go to Disney World. They're driving down, or they're probably Florida locals who are just coming for the weekend or something like that. And be like, oh man, I forgot my gun was in my bag. Classic mistake. That's so.
It's an innocent mistake, I think. Sometimes my husband did it. He had a giant knife in his bag when we went through security, so that he forgot.
What were y'all getting ready for? I don't know.
He was on a fishing trip.
Kamila, when you book trips, do you have to say to people, now look, here's the thing, don't bring guns. You don't need them. You don't need them. They've got their own.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had anyone ask me that yet, but I will say I've gone through security when someone had a gun, and it was kind of terrifying to have them be like nearby and have security be like, "Sir, do you have a gun on you?" And it's like, okay, let me like hurry through and get away. But it does seem like, having read through a couple of these stories, and there's been, I feel like once a week we're hearing about people where they tried to bring a gun through, but it does seem like when you read a lot of these stories, it's people who had them in their bag, forgot, because maybe they're used to carrying them around everywhere, and then as they go through security, they catch it. And similar to Shannon, I've been with family members where like they had a pocket knife and they forgot to leave it in the car before they went through security, and so they threw it away before. And so, it's tough, but I will say it's slightly terrifying because you realize that up until you get through security, people could have it and no one would know. And I know that's why they have the working canines usually, and, they can sniff for that kind of thing. But I don't know. I hope we never have a problem around that.
Yeah, that's true. And I get frisked every time I walk through and have a bag of trading pins in my backpack. That's what I get caught for all the time.
They're frisking you? That's extreme. That's crazy.
They said it was standard operating procedure. That's not. I have to go to this little back room. Have this not happened to anybody else? That's weird.
I pay extra for that. I didn't know they were doing it for free in Florida.
Dang you, Charlie. All right, so
it's really not that bad.
So let's talk about this. This has become something that probably happens in Florida more than in California. The splash boats sunk again. I mean,
is that about boats?
Oh, look at you already. Nice, because boats, you can't trust them. You can't trust them, Kamila. Yeah.
I mean,
what would you do if your boat sunk on Splash Mountain?
First of all, I wouldn't get on Splash Mountain because it has that little log ride. But no, I honestly think it's scary because I would be like, can I get in the water? What's in this water? Am I going to get electrocuted? Like, so many things would go through my mind, and I just feel like that's terrifying to be literally on a boat and it's just sinking. And I will say, I haven't seen this happen so much at Disneyland, but it's a small world at Disney problem from time to time. And I've been in boats where like water is acting on, and it's like, why is this happening? And who thinks this is okay? Like that cannot happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Shannon, are you ready to get on a boat?
I would be that person still sitting in that boat under the water, waiting to be rescued while everyone else is abandoning ship. I don't want my foot taken off.
So basically, Shannon is sinking into the water going, a cast member will be here. Everyone sit down, a cast member will be here. Is that basically what you think? So I wanted to bring this up because my son has this, and he doesn't watch this show, so I can say this. Submechanophobia is the fear of mechanical things underwater. So when we go to like Universal and the Velociraptor comes out of the water, it freaks him out. I mean, he's not 5, but I mean, it's just like, it was something I didn't learn until like late in his teens, where he was like, oh yeah, that scares the heck out of me. I'm like, what? So it's a real thing.
On the Jungle Cruise?
Hates it.
Wow.
Yeah. So submechanophobia. So like the fear of things under the water, and that gator pulling on that tail, that's some mechanics under the water. So that would have been his nightmare scenario of where to get stopped and sink. But again, like, we're getting this thing changed, but I feel like it's not coming soon enough, and I feel like they've kind of given up on it. There were like, when we were there for the 15th anniversary, we wrote it as a group, and one of the things that has always been dear to my heart is where Brer Rabbit is bouncing.
Yeah, that's gone. That's been gone a while.
Yeah, that doesn't worn't work. There is a bear tail, but
honestly, I think we've seen this in other rides that we've talked about in the past. I think even on this show, that when we know something's about to close, doesn't it seem like it starts breaking down more and more often right before it closes? And I don't know if that's just a coincidence or because they're like, hey, we're going to do a major overhaul of this ride. Let's just do bare minimum maintenance because we can really get in there and fix the stuff that needs to be fixed when no one's on the attraction and we have months to do it. Because we all know Splash is going to be going down for a long refurb sometime later this year or early next year. So they're probably, I don't know, maybe it's just a coincidence, but don't we see this happen pretty often when rides are about to close? I don't know.
If it's a maintenance thing. I think it's, we have this beloved attraction. There's a lot of controversy over taking it out. So we have to make everyone agree, like, no, it's time for this to go. Like, there's only one working animatronic, and he's begging for death. We need him. We just put him down.
If
it's a mercy
Tiana
kill.
was here, then we'd probably have more buoyancy.
Exactly. And then when they do the overhaul, we're all just going to be like, wow, a projection that works. This is great. This has been so long since we've had a working effect.
On the other side.
Yeah.
You guys are something tonight. So speaking of things that gone too soon, this makes me sad.
I'm sad about this.
All right, you want to go off a little bit on this one, Peter?
It's just so sad. To me, this is just like, I don't even know why they would take it down, and we'll see. And like, the worst part, I didn't tear up, but I got really sad. I drove past like a pile of rubble last night or 2 days ago, and I was like, like that was an iconic thing. Maybe, like, I don't remember much from my one Disney vacation from my childhood, but I do remember that sign. And then I think all the times I've come to Disney before I lived here, driving past it, like, it just made you feel warm and fuzzy. It was fun. Even if you didn't like the Tower of Terror, like, maybe you were scared, but it was a little billboard. I don't know. I think, obviously, this is a big nostalgia thing just for me, but why take it down? Like, what else could you possibly be putting there? You have a whole stretch of highway to do other signs if you wanted to. Just let the thing run. What does it cost to fix?
Well, and that's one of the things that was always cool to me. That the Tough to Be a Bug when you were leaving the Magic Kingdom, the one for Mission Space when you were going into the Magic Kingdom. Those signs I always thought were kind of like, oh my gosh, we're here. That was exciting stuff to see. Shannon, are you devastated, or do you just not care?
No, I'm devastated because it is a reminder. It distracts you from the fact that you're just on a regular highway. It's a reminder that you're in the parks in a similar way that Magical Express would distract you from MCO to the parks to kind of get you in that feel that you're in your little bubble. And that was a reminder, and I'm very, very sad to see it go.
Charlie, Kamila, feelings, thoughts? There's not a lot of this stuff rolling up to Disneyland, right? I mean, rolling up to Disneyland, you see the guy barking about how your children are going to the underworld. But other than that, you don't really get to see a lot of, like, these ultra nice signs.
I don't know what that is, that your children going to the underworld.
You've never heard that there's a dude that stands out on Harbor, and just as you're leaving at night, he tells you how you're a horrible parent for bringing your kids to this place. You've never? Oh,
No.
oh, you got to
I
experience
luckily
it
have
once.
missed that. After the end of a long Disney day, my fuse is about that long, so that would lead in.
Honestly, I would pay money to see you have a conversation with this guy. Honestly, like that would be a great conversation to witness. But
yeah, it
He's
would
watching,
be really,
so big shout out to you,
really
sir.
intense.
yeah,
But yeah, we
Kamila.
don't have anything like that.
No, I honestly I don't remember it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, it was a neat thing to see, and I feel like there have been several things that Tom Corliss had said. If this ever happens, people will riot, and this was one of them. And it was like, well, it's going away.
He says that all the time.
I know,
He's
right?
The, boy who
The-
read Wolf now.
the auction
We're
scene-
no one has actually rioted, Tom. Stop them.
Right, the auction scene with the redhead, this tower sign. I feel like there was one or two other things. One of them that wasn't on the list, I'm sure, was this. The ESPN club is being refurbished for our future enjoyment here. It said that it was going to be demolished. I assume they're just taking the arm and the weights off the top because they're building something else here. So did anybody go to this and like it, or
I
is
walked
it?
past it yesterday.
Did you? Yeah, but did you go to it when it was open
the
and
ESPN
care?
Club, I love the ESPN Club. I'm pissed it closed. So this was a stop that I made every single time I was going to Epcot because back in, let's go down to Storybook. Let's tell a story. So there used to be this really awesome membership club that I was really excited to join once I moved down here called Tales in Wonderland. And you've got a lot of fun discounts. 20% off food and beverage at all sit-down restaurants, including alcohol, and for you and up to 10 friends. It's a really nice discount, 20% off. And another perk was you got free valet parking as long as you had a receipt for anything from the parks or whatever. So I could be able to park at the front of Boardwalk, get my valet, and I'd always pop an ESPN Club and either grab like a quick appetizer or just like a $5 beer, and then I had my receipt for my free valet. But it was like always like coming or going. I'd like pop in, talk to the bartenders. We did a few football Sundays there. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know what's going here. I know there's a lot of rumors. I don't see why they even had to close it. I know all of them are now closed around the country, and ESPN Club is so much fun, like especially the one in Manhattan, the one I went to growing up. So I'm sad about this too. These are all sad. This is sad stuff for me tonight. I wasn't prepared.
We didn't bring you on here to make you cry. I am so sorry. We definitely will have some up with people moments before this thing is over. But when you go on and you look at what could be here, one of the things that I heard was something called the cakery. Yeah, bring that on.
Bakery? That's crazy.
Bring that on. That would be great.
No, the bakery is going away. The bakery is being renamed the deli. Riddle me that.
Right. So wait, this thing right here, the new
Correct.
Boardwalk Deli Sandwich Shop.
So stupid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened at the Boardwalk on those places. So like the place that is Trattoria Al Forno was Spoodles when it first opened, and it's been a couple different things. And then the pizza window, I guess, stays the pizza window. I mean, you can't go wrong with pizza. Abracadabra used to be the ice cream shop, but then they moved the ice cream shop down and called it Ample Hills, and then Ample Hills pulled out of there, and now that's just a generic ice cream shop. And so when I look at all of the stuff that's there, I want there to be something where the ESPN club was, so I'm excited. But the cakery is what I've heard, so maybe it will be a big bakery on the corner there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe there'll be great times. And Pete, you can go there and then head over to Jelly Rolls. You still go to Jelly Rolls?
Every once in a while. I'm still a little bitter about what they did to their people during the pandemic, but I went the other night to see Scotty because I still love Scotty, but not as often as I used to. Just because I'm still just a little bit out of shape, but. You know,
Okay.
You can catch me on a random night or at the Atlantic Dance Hall. I jump back and forth, get my dance on, then I get my sing-along on.
Nice. Okay. Thank you for sharing your truth. So one of the other things is that today is Disneyland's birthday. We're going to talk about Disneyland for a little while. It's the 67th anniversary of oh, look at that. Look at that. Everybody's wearing their Disneyland gear. Nice. And so, look, see, Charlie came prepared, man. That's awesome. Charlie, were you there today?
I was.
And were there anything special other than these treats that I'm seeing?
Yeah, over in Disneyland, they had little photo props that were like celebrating 67 years, and then all the cast members were on Main Street waving at everybody, and Mickey did a little celebratory thing at noon. I made the wonderful decision to go to DCA first, so I missed it all.
Fantastic. Good plan.
And I got to watch the red car trolley breakdown all day. But, you know, I was there, and I did get to do the photo prop thing, and they did have Walt's chili cheese fries at the Red Rose Tavern, and they just amazing. I really wish it was more than one day that they were doing that.
So all of this is
Yeah.
just today. It's not for like
Yeah.
a limited time. It's the limited time is 24 hours.
Yeah, Mickey came out, I think, twice in his special outfit, like his confetti outfit. Once early this morning for opening, and once at noon. And since I was over at DCA, you can't park hop until after 1 o'clock, so I missed everything. And I caught Mickey later in the day, just in his normal outfit. And then the chili fries, they're only doing for today. And all those desserts that you saw are ending today. They've been out for a week, though, so we have had access to them. But yeah, you know, not a whole lot. I mean, it's the 67th anniversary. What are you going to do? You know, they kind of did a little bit for the 65th, even in the downtown Disney. So like they made the effort for it for the big ones. And the 60th, of course, was huge, and the 50th and everything. So it's not that they don't go big. They're probably just saving their pennies for the 70th anniversary.
They need to save those pennies. I wanted to stop and say thank you to Jungle Cruiser 999 for Super Chat. Knott's Berry Farm closed last night at 8 p.m. due to many massive fights. Yes.
Yeah, it was really bad, and it kind of everyone's a little shocked because when you read a headline like that in LA, you're like, well, of course that happened at Six Flags. Wait, Knott's Berry Farm. This is kind of a first. It's usually not that rough out in Calico. I don't know what's happening, if it was just one bad group or whatever. Like, this does happen at Six Flags Magic Mountain quite a bit, and it's kind of commonplace now. But for Knott's Berry Farm, it's unheard of.
Straight out of Calico.
Yeah.
So love seeing Charlie. This is another super chat. So thank you very much, CK Barry, $4.99. Love seeing Charlie, and any Disneyland talk. Thanks all. So look at that.
Hey, thank
look
you.
Look at that, Charlie.
Glad
I will have to ship you your $4.99. So thanks
That's
for
fine.
Yeah.
UPS ground.
No problem. No problem. But you said you were there for the red car today, and you said it kept breaking down. Well, tell me about that.
Yeah, it operated, I think, maybe 3 times. And in my wisdom, I thought I'm gonna watch this go up and down and take some nice pictures of it, and then I'll get on and do a ride afterwards. And so I photographed all of these wonderful photos of its very last ride. That I was there until 2:30, and it still wasn't operating when I left. But you know, it looked great the 1 time or 2 times that I got to see it working, and then they haven't had a chance to test it out during the daytime because you know, the logistics of the park and everything. They're not going to test it and send everybody away. And it was very, very warm today, so the battery was probably acting up in the heat after sitting dormant for so long and not being able to run it for any length of time outdoors in the heat. So starting today, as with a lot of things that start at Disneyland on Sunday, July 17th, it kind of went belly up, and that's okay. I'm sure it'll be working by next week. They'll work out the kinks over the next few days, just like Pirates of the Caribbean that was up and down all the first day of reopening, and you know, it's working well enough now. So I'm sure the red car will be the same way.
It's a limited time feature, only for today, and only twice.
Yeah, twice,
Okay.
and that's it. And then they're
it's like
going to take it all
120
out.
degrees here in Florida, and I'm like, that would never survive here.
No, there's a lot of stuff. Like, I don't think any of the people who live here could live in Florida, and that's why we live here. Like, if it gets above 101, everyone complains. Like, there's more CO2 in the atmosphere because everyone has to complain about it all the time, myself included. I'm the loudest one. It's so, and we have virtually no humidity. In Florida, 80 with the level of humidity that Florida has, I think I'm going to die. I'm like dragging myself along the ground. So at least it's a little bit drier of a heat here.
Yeah, definitely come in July. It's a lot better then. So when another thing that we've looked at and been talking about with Disneyland specifically is that there is supposed to be some changes coming to Tomorrowland. We assume all of these will be official announcements for D23 when that happens in September. But we've got a lot of rumors swirling, including the fact that we talked about that Lightyear may be the theme for Space Mountain. And then on top of that, that now it looks like Star Wars Launch Bay may be demolished. This building that held the Carousel of Progress and the House of the Future and Innoventions and the Marvel superhero headquarters could be just pushed to rubble. So before we talk about anything else, Kamila, do you care?
So I will say Star Wars Launch Bay actually is a place that I really enjoy, and I've been kind of patiently waiting for its full return since the parks have reopened. I'm not entirely surprised that they're looking to retheme or do something else with it, just because I feel like there's so little space in Disneyland, and they really do have to use all of it. The only thing I will say is I don't know that I think seating should go there, because I feel like right across from it you have the Galactic Cafe or whatever that is, and I feel like it's not hard to find somewhere to sit there, and so I would hope they would do something more. I think Disneyland needs shows, so bring Carousel of Progress back. I think that's something people could get into.
You can't have it. You can't have it. You can't have it. I mean, we could duplicate it, but you can't have ours.
Well, no, bring another one then. Do another
America
one.
Sings.
Carousel of the future. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be great though if they did America Sings and they took all of the Splash Mountain animatronics back out of Splash Mountain, put them back. There you go. Cheap way to do it. Come on, somebody call Bob.
Make everyone happy.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to go when it was Innoventions and the floor was like spinning because it was still the same platform that you had when it was Carousel of Progress back in the day. But for those who don't know, and I assume everybody who watches the show does, the 1964 World's Fair was the premiere of the Carousel of Progress. It went then to be installed at Disneyland, where it sat until 1971, when it became part of Disney World. And yeah, we're not giving it back. Sorry.
But can I just say for Launch Bay, because I feel like at the Star Wars Night celebrations, they did a really good job of how they utilized at least the outside of it, right? Because you have like the color and it's the Tomorrowland lighting. And it was so cool how they had like the stormtroopers and like all the characters that would gather there outside. So I feel like if Launch Bay didn't work, it's not because the concept wasn't good, it's because they didn't fully like commit or execute. And I just feel like it's so disappointing that now they're just kind of scrapping it and moving on. But I also recognize, at least when I would go in there was almost no one else in there. And I just feel like for Disneyland, real estate is too precious and you just can't have that.
Yeah, Charlie, you want to say something before we move on?
Yeah, I feel like you just described a lot of Disneyland after the Eisner era, where they just really didn't commit all the way, and it kind of floundered, and then they took it out or turned it into something Marvel. And I think that's a lot of the problem. It's, you know, in talking about how long it takes to build Play Pavilion or Tron or any of these other things, like looking back at Disneyland, it was the entirety of Disneyland. Granted, it was simpler than what they're undertaking today, but the entirety of Disneyland was built in 1 year and 1 day because they rushed it through. And like when they couldn't afford new attractions or they couldn't slate it in, Walt paid out of his own pocket to build Enchanted Tiki Room. Like there used to be this idea behind it, and that I would say even sticks through to Eisner, where like Splash Mountain was a really big deal in Critter Country and all this stuff. It was all very, very big. And even under Iger, I know we give Chapek a lot of heat, but even under Iger, it was a lot of kind of, you know, slapdash, just throw it together kind of things. And so with this, you know, Star Wars Launch Bay, or they had Marvel HQ upstairs, and even the Innoventions. And I was at the press opening of the new House of the Future for Innoventions, and they said, this is something we're going to update and change, and it's going to continue to grow. And they always trot out the old quotes from Disney about it'll never stop so long as there's imagination left in the world, that kind of thing. But though that technology being so new broke down very quickly, and they just never replaced it, so it became irrelevant. So they took it out and made it a Star Wars toy exhibit. And then Upstairs was Marvel stuff, and then they took that out as soon as they moved them somewhere else, and they just never really committed to doing anything with the space. So, that's kind of an inherent problem. And even with the seating area, I feel like we'll get tables and then chairs are going to come in phase 2. So I don't really believe in a lot of what they're doing anymore.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, Charlie, I know you're new, but you don't have to hold back anything. You can just go ahead and let us know how you really feel. Sorry,
okay,
Pete.
Well, here we go then.
Pete, go ahead.
Like they slap the launch bays just onto these spaces and they're big. There's just so much square footage on both coasts. Like, I'm okay with them retheming the launch bay here. We have an entire Batu. We have a ton of other lands, and I love the way you put it. You were like a Star Wars toy exhibit, but that's really what it is. All this square footage where they can put those artifacts in other places. You don't need to waste all the space, especially at Hollywood Studios. In my opinion, it's a giant waste of space, and I'm not saying I want to get rid of it, and it's not cool, but it can fit in other places that are much better. That is so much square footage, and I don't know, turn it into something else, especially the one in Disneyland. There's no reason to knock that down. That building has so much history.
Just put chairs in there. Let us sit inside. There's no shade anywhere. You know how many photos I've done
honestly,
with my camera strapped to my foot in
better,
the
and
sun?
you can still have the building.
We just want shade. Just leave us the shade. You don't even need to turn on the air. Just open the windows. Just let us inside.
We want shade. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, they're gonna knock this down, kind of like they did at Epcot with knocking down Innoventions and then building something back that's basically the same thing. Like, they could just leave it up, and you could go in there. And I think, Kamila, probably the reason you love it so much is you could escape from the heat and just go in to a place where nobody's hanging out. I mean, it would be nice. That's really one of the challenges when you go into a Disney park, is finding a quiet zone. And it could, I think people would applaud them for making this building a quiet zone. So, I mean, that would be something neat to do. But yeah, you're right. Just demolishing something that, as Pete said, was very iconic, is one of those things where it just seems like, why do that? Speaking of iconic, I'll get that later. There's a lot of track above Tomorrowland, and apparently the Peoplemover is returning to Disneyland finally, and it's one of those things that I know people from Disneyland are like, man, I really wish we still had this thing. And when you go, and like for me, not having been a Disneyland regular, and you look up and you go, why is the track still here then, if it hasn't been rocket rods since God knows when? And now all of that track looks like it could have a purpose again. Pete, I know that the one in Florida was down for what, like 2 years, or was it a year after COVID? And we were just devastated. Can you imagine not having it for? Good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you could tell the love for this ride where they didn't do anything new to it. It was just a ride that's been there forever. Literally just comes back from a long refurb and has hours and hours of lines for days. Like, they didn't do anything new. It was the same ride. But you could that shows you the love for the Peoplemover. I hope they do something with that other track. I know that the reason they weren't using it was something to do with the structural integrity, so maybe they figure a workaround for that. Maybe it's just cast members with wheelbarrows. You sit in them, you run around the track. But I'm so excited this is coming back for everyone out of California. Because the Peoplemover is like the perfect break ride, right? And it's also like got like some nostalgia. You could just sit and people watch on the Peoplemover. It's just the perfect little ride, and it doesn't really do anything that crazy or exciting. It's just nice. It's just a warm hug.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and it'd be nice to have something extra there, Charlie.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different ideas coming out of Imagineering that we're going to redo the Peoplemover, time and again, and I feel like it's finally time. There's not a lot else going on in Tomorrowland. I'm not one of the big fans of the Lightyear idea for Space Mountain. So anything that can kind of keep the idea of the world of the future rather than making it IP, if it stays as a Peoplemover instead of a Peoplemover presented by Buzz Lightyear or something like that, I'm really for it. And I think it is something that's needed because we don't have any real estate, any wiggle room in Tomorrowland without demolishing Innoventions, a Carousel Theater. We don't have any room. You can't get rid of anything else. So we have to just go up, which is, what they thought about the future is you're building these cities up. It's the same way with Tomorrowland. We have to do that now. And so I think it's finally time for the Peoplemover to return. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Shannon, anything real quick before we have to move on?
Yeah, of course. The first thing that I noticed when I went to Disneyland, the biggest disappointment was that Tomorrowland was lacking. There was something missing. And I feel like this will bring, as Eric Morton had said a while back, kinetic energy that had been missing from that area for a long time. So if this happens, I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm booking my trip.
Yep. And Kamila?
I mean, people are going to hate me for this, but
No.
I want to see the People Mover come back. That would be wonderful. But I also feel like the train functions nicely as a People Mover, and so I would love to see it come back. But I don't know. I get similar vibes. The train.
Like, I drove a car to the park that moved people, so what are we expecting?
Kamila's like,
It has scenes.
Kamila's like, let them take trams. That's awesome. Hey, we're running a little bit over. I want to thank you guys for being here and talking about this. We're going to take a very quick commercial break, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about Universal. We have some very cool Universal stuff to talk about. Pete, I think you're going to be taking off. Thank you so much.
But I just want to say thanks for having me back on. I love all you guys. I'll see you again real soon.
Please come back anytime, Pete. And Adventures by Carney, check it out. Awesome. Yeah. Make sure to move off for that. All right.
Bye, everyone.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Bye.
Well, thank you for watching ParksCenter. That was supposed to be a commercial for Universal Parks News today. We're very excited to talk about Universal Parks, but again, please make sure to subscribe to WDWNT TV. Please make sure to like this video so that everybody can find it. A lot of people working very hard for you tonight to talk about a lot of Parks News, but we have our Universal Parks crew here. Annie, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for hanging around, waiting for us. Charlie just made us go long tonight, so it's one of those things.
You really shouldn't have given me a microphone. It's
that was
your
it.
fault.
I get it. No, I've learned my lesson. No, it's been great to have you on here, man. I appreciate it, and because you have kind of some insight as well into the Hollywood version of Universal, we definitely wanted to have you on because one of the things we're most excited about is Shrek. No, I'm just kidding. Super Nintendo. But Annie, there's a new Shrek meet and greet, which I find very interesting because Shrek 4D is closed. That whole entrance into the studios is now overtaken completely by Minions at this point. So they've added a new meet and greet, and you've been out to it.
Yeah, it's over in Kid Zone, so it's right next to DreamWorks Destination, which is kind of a good location for it. It's in the old Barney shop, so R.I.P. Barney.
I know.
Very passionate about Barney, so still bitter. But Shrek's a great addition there, so if somebody had to take Barney's spot, I'm okay with Shrek. And Donkey's there, and Fiona's there, and it's gotten kind of a re-theme to Shrek's Swamp Meet. And so they've got some signs, they've got some banners, they've got an outhouse door in there. It's really cute. They've done like a really great job. So obviously because there's, like you said, construction going on at the front of the park, Donkey's old meet and greet location is gone, but now you can meet them in Kid Zone.
So the Kid Zone was supposed to be Super Nintendo, I believe. Is that correct? And then they went, wait a minute, we're going to build this whole new park, we're going to move it over there. Was that the original thought?
I know that was a big rumor for a while, so I don't know how factual that was, but that was a rumor for a long time.
All I do is perpetuate rumors, Annie. That's all I do. I just sit back and perpetuate rumors all the time. But so Shrek is still relevant enough. I know that when we had the Christmas parade, Shrek is still a big deal at the Christmas parade. But he's relevant enough that they need to move the meet and greet to something significant, but not relevant enough for an attraction?
Ooh, I have a feeling a lot of people are very opinionated on that. No more Minions is kind of the general consensus, I think, right now. But I would have preferred an updated Shrek attraction. But I'm glad that they have the meet and greet. But it got really crowded right after it opened, so that's really good. It's good to see that people are excited for it.
Okay, let me roll it back again, and before we get to you, Charlie, because again, we have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about on both coasts, but one of the things that doesn't happen a lot, because we know that Universal's known for Halloween, and we'll talk about Halloween. We know Universal's known for Mardi Gras, but this year they were kind of pulling out a lot of stops for July 4th, right?
Yeah, it was really surprising. They've not done anything for 4th of July in the past, at least not for the last few years. They did a really nice job. They had a live band, they had DJs, they had tons of entertainment, they had character dance parties. It was really, stress-free. It was really fun. They were handing out, like, beads, kind of like Mardi Gras beads, but in, colors for 4th of July. So they were handing out beads. There was just tons of entertainment. They had a pyrotechnic display. It was really nice. It was really well done. Good crowd control. Like, I have nothing but nice things to say from that night. So I hope that they do it again next year. It didn't look as extravagant as Charlie's, display there in Universal Studios Hollywood, but it was really nice to see.
Charlie, were you at Universal for the fireworks?
I was, yeah.
How'd that go?
I don't know if I'd say extravagant. It was like we had some decorations on the arch and on the main entryway, and then we had a fireworks show. But it wasn't like bare minimum. It was well done. I just don't know if I'd say it was extravagant. I was almost like oh, we have to do something, so here you go. It was nice to see Woody Woodpecker get some play because he was like the mascot of our July 4th out here. But even the fireworks show, it kind of never quite hit. Like I feel like they're still getting their feet under them on the West Coast so far as their July 4th thing, because I don't think they've done much big stuff like this for July 4th in the past, like Andy said. So I think they're still kind of trying to figure it out over here. I think they're kind of trying to figure out a lot of nighttime entertainment on our side. So this is just one of the many shows that's like an almost.
Gotcha. Okay.
Your fireworks did look much better than ours. Ours were called a pyrotechnic display because they were technically not fireworks. So that
it looked.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot, but we did have more than you.
Yeah. It looked like they had a confetti cannon.
Oh, I think that was the best part, was the confetti. It was like a snowstorm of confetti at the end. It was great. That was.
So when you walk in with zero expectations, a few fireworks and some confetti goes a long way, is what you're telling me, Annie.
I mean, compared to last year, this was crazy.
All right, so I feel like you guys have a little bit of a sibling rivalry here, like an East Coast, West Coast thing, and I kind of love that. Let me put this to you then about one of my favorite topics, popcorn buckets. So we have, where is this popcorn bucket? This is East Coast, correct?
That's both of us.
Yeah, both. Well, we've gotten your sloppy seconds here because you got that.
Oh yeah,
year.
This is
you got
old news
that
to
bucket
us.
you had last year.
Yeah, we're completely over it. Now that we're finished, you take the rest. We've moved on.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
It's new to us, though. It's new to us.
Yeah.
So, but now out in California, y'all have this one.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I gotta say, Universal Hollywood usually gets a lot less merch, and it's way delayed compared to what's coming out of Florida. And it's kind of nice to see Annie's coverage and know, oh, well, like, hey, we're gonna get this in like 6 or 8 weeks. This is gonna be great. I can't wait for 6 or 8 weeks from now. But we did. I've heard sprinklings that this egg popcorn bucket or sipper is coming, and it was nice to see that it just kind of showed up for the same day that Jurassic World went to video on demand.
So let me share with you my problem with popcorn buckets is that a lot of things, popcorn buckets and sippers, if you put them behind, like in the gift shops at Disney, and you had them on the shelf, and you were like, hey, we have plenty, take as many as you want, I'd be like, I don't really need that large piece of junk plastic.
Yeah.
You put it in a popcorn booth and say it's limited edition, I'm lining up for 7 hours to get it.
Yep.
This looks like they're selling them in the gift shops?
They do. They're all over the place. They're downstairs, they're upstairs, they're in shops where you wouldn't think it should be there, but like it's just to alleviate the traffic, and there's a plentiful supply. And when you buy it, it's the same price as it would be at a popcorn cart, and then you take it to you take your receipt to the popcorn cart and you get your first fill of the popcorn for free, and they'll put it in the little carton for you so you don't actually have to get your popcorn bucket dirty. But up until like last week, we only had one popcorn stand, so like making everybody line up at the one popcorn stand is just infeasible. Now we finally have a second popcorn stand on the lower lot.
I was about to ask. It's got to be on the lower lot, right? That'd be cruel to have them both on the upper lot, because you get down that lower lot and you go, man, I want some popcorn.
Downstairs. Yeah, and that's, there's not a lot on the lower lot. Like you go down there for rides, you're not down there for much else. Like you have lunch there and you get your alcohol there, and that just, then you're fine, and then you don't care where you are anymore. And like, sure, I'll walk up the stairs, and it's like 400 steps in the heat, and you're like, this is a great idea at the bottom,
Yeah. Well, let's move real quick to the thing that people love the most, I think, about Universal and Annie. It's Halloween Horror Nights. What kind of stuff have you heard about Halloween Horror Nights and what's going to happen? Because I know they're starting to put stuff up for the scare zones. They're getting ready. It's almost here.
Yeah, I think since the last time we were on the show, we had another announcement, which was the horrors of Blumhouse, Black Phone, and Freaky. And I've not seen either of those. I think the location of that is going to be where Fast and Furious is, so they're going to use some of the Fast and Furious queue for one of the houses. But I've heard really good things about the Black Phone. We obviously had some merchandise. Our construction isn't quite as visible as out at Universal Studios Hollywood. Like, we've got some trusses and some lighting fixtures and stuff up right now. Other than that, it's not too much that we can see. I'm kind of jealous of how much that Charlie can see.
Okay. And Charlie, what kind of stuff have you been able to see out there?
Yeah, we are very fortunate that I'm able to keep tabs on a lot of these things. Going back to, we have no space, and so everything is kind of built on top of each other because, like, it was a studio in a canyon 100 years ago, and now they're like, where are we going to put everything? So they have to fill in all the available space, and they do work with their space really well. But because of that, I get to see a lot of it, either from a parking structure or just, going down the Starway. I've seen the front of what we figure is going to be the Universal Monsters maze that's pretty well done. There's another maze that I've heard might be a scarecrow maze, and there is what looks to be a scarecrow wrapped in trash bags or duvetine out front of an old house and stuff. And for a long time, I thought there was going to be a Nope haunted house walkthrough thing, and then the more they built of it, I was like, no, this is too nice. This isn't something they're just going to slap up for like 2 months. And it turns out it's a whole experience on the tram tour that's opening next Friday, and I can't wait for it. They held a press day last week of people like standing around in the town interacting with actors. So if that's what it is, if it becomes part of the studio tour, that kind of justifies how nice that set really is, because everything else is just kind of, wood flats and visqueen hanging everywhere. So I have been able to see a lot, and I'm very fortunate in that respect, so I kind of have an idea of what we're going to get.
Well, speaking of things you've been able to see a lot of, and something that is the most exciting to me that actually might make me go back to Universal Hollywood is Super Nintendo Land, and being able to, this is obviously on the lower lot, seeing all of this stuff that's coming up from this. Has this been amazing to watch come out of the ground, and are you excited about it, and what can you tell us?
Yeah, I remember coming back for the Taste of Universal. The first thing, like the week before they opened, they started a food festival that was food only, no rides or anything. And then they were like, oh, by the way, you can also have rides. And that was our first peek at all of this that they were doing. And it was there was so much of it in place. But just from then to now, to watch the incremental things of like a piranha plant goes up, or the little brown mushroomy looking guy, or the cement block thing. I'm terrible at Nintendo, but there's like the cement blocky thing, and there's coins and whatever. All of these things one by one, and you can kind of track the progress. It's been really nice to see so much of it so well. and watch this thing grow and evolve. And when we finally get to walk in, I'm really looking forward to seeing everything from the ground level.
If you need help, call me. I'll come out and help you with that, because I am into Nintendo and know more about the cement blocky thing. Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It's the cement blocky thing with a face. And the little brown mushroomy guy. All I know is one of them, Dennis Hopper played one of them. That's all I know.
Dude, me and Annie are coming out to hold your hand and make sure this all goes right. You take all the pictures and we'll do all the play-by-play.
I will say I'm kind of fortunate that a lot of the other people who cover Universal out here, I guess, do a lot of cell phone work and don't use a telephoto lens. So I'm usually spotting things that, like, they're like, hey, here's a Universal update. But, like, there's, you know, the brown mushroomy guy that you can't see unless you zoom way in. So I've been fortunate that it's not as much competition at Disneyland, where there's, like, you know, hundreds of great photographers with way more expensive cameras than I have over there. And here I'm been able to break a couple of those things first.
Here you are the star, and we appreciate it, man.
I am.
We appreciate all the stuff you've been doing. There'll be a lot of things where I'll go, oh, Annie, that looks really cool. She's like, that's in Hollywood. Sorry. Oh, okay. Let me ask you real quick, though, Annie. You were talking about, before we move, before we close out, one of the things I was going to ask you, you were talking about them using the queue for Fast and Furious for the Haunted Mansion. Does that mean that we can't go on Fast and Furious? Because boo.
Oh, no, don't worry. I mean, Fast and Furious will be closed during Halloween Horror Nights, but you can still, you know, go hang out with your family now. Don't worry.
Why?
So,
Why would I even go if Fast and Furious isn't open? Family forever. You know that.
Right?
Gosh.
I do.
Yeah.
I know that better than anyone.
All right. Well, we've got to move on to the next topic, which is we're going to talk about Photopass. We're going to see the two of you right after the commercial break with Kamila and with Shannon. We're going to talk about Photopass at both parks, and is it worth it, and should you be doing it? And we'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside and a panel of Disney superfans as they take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog, tell you its history, details, give their review, and let you know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Tuesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes. Or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube at unplannedDowntime.com.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Obviously, Unplanned Downtime is now WDWNT-TV, so we hope that you will join us for Disney Entertainment News Today on Tuesdays, Deep in the Plus on Wednesdays. This Wednesday night, we're going to be doing Big Hero 6, and then normally Thursday nights will be News Today, but they are on a little bit of a hiatus. They'll be back on July 28th, and then Fridays are usually boxed in, and then Sunday night right back here for ParksCenter. We got a great lineup for you, so we hope you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and please like this video so that other people can find it. So one of the things that I ran into this problem recently is that I am going to lose my Legacy Disney World annual pass, and I'm going to have to get the Incredipass, which is incredibly disappointing because it used to include Photopass. And back in the day, I don't know if you remember this, they used to have camera shops on Main Street. You used to go get something called film. They used to then do SD cards and all these fun things in shops that now sell pins and magic bands instead. And so there were actual photography things that would happen in the parks. And then they had the photo spots. And then you were like, oh, I could just take my cell phone. And honestly, I'm going to ask everybody on the panel this, but when Photopass people used to be there and come up and ask if I want my picture taken, I would kind of treat them like the DirecTV guy who hits me at Sam's Club and asks me if I've subscribed. Like I was just like, ooh, I'm not really sure. No, thank you. I'm not buying what you're selling here, fella. Now, when I got it included with either Max Pass, just look it up, Max Pass, or with my my Disney annual pass in Florida, I would be hunting them down like I was looking for assistance at a Best Buy. So when you go and you try to find these people in the parks, it's just like, hey, I've already paid for this. Let me get my money's worth out of it. And I kind of like it. And now here I am about to renew, and I've got to decide if I want to spend this extra price. So I want to throw it to Kamila first, because I know, Kamila, as a travel agent, you book a lot of trips for people. Do you recommend the Memory Maker package for them, or do they specifically ask for it when you guys are booking it? I mean, are you a fan?
Yeah. So I will say, I personally, it's not something that I recommend. I let them know that it's something that they can add. And I will say 95% of the people that I work with on their Disney World and Disneyland vacations, they add it. I've never really gotten feedback on how much they used it, and I've never gotten negative feedback on it. But yeah, I will say absolutely. I think for families, people where, Disney World is a big vacation, they're putting a lot of effort into it, people know about this and they want it added to their package.
Okay, so I think, Shannon, you have some opinions about this, because have you ever used it, or do you care?
Never used it until I became an AP holder. I purchased my AP January of 2020, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to work with it. But when I did the same thing as you, Rob. Like I was like, I want to find every Photopass photographer, because when you see the quality on the My Disney Experience app, the pictures were really nice, especially for Run Disney 2. So I took advantage of everywhere I was going. But now that I just moved to the Incredipass as of 2 months ago, and it was a nice to have, but I would never purchase it, especially this day and age when you have, high quality cameras on your phones. There's no reason for it.
Well, as far as your pass goes, I'm sorry for your loss. It really is. It's one of those little, it's just barely frustrating, and that it's like, okay, for $100 you can have it added back on. Well, I'm already paying them a lot more than I was for my annual pass, and now I have this. But ride photos, again, getting back into that, ride photos were a thing that was like, they would charge you. That, like, you would have to go to the booth and then they would print them out for you. I don't know if you guys remember that at all. Yeah. Or do you remember character breakfast, where they would bring you the package to your table and then say, okay, here's a picture of your lovely, darling kids. Do you want these, or you want me to go shred this? And so I feel like it's one of those things where, like, they kind of had you over a barrel and they knew it. And at least that kind of stuff, again, has been included with the package. I love kind of going to the My Disney Experience. By the way, that's why our Times Guide isn't working tonight. It's brought to you by My Disney Experience. They will show you, like, all of your ride photos, and it's kind of fun. But I certainly don't feel like I want to pay for them. Charlie, I know you're a photographer, man, so how do you feel about all this?
Yeah, I always think higher quality is better, and no matter how good your phone is, it's not going to be as good as the camera that this photographer has. And even beyond that is, like, they get the primo spot. They kind of know the composition, things that you don't need to know. You just know that's a good looking photo, and you don't know why. There's a lot of photography rules behind the scenes that they know that they're employing, so they know how to take your photo. And even if you hand them your camera, it's probably going to look better than if you try and selfie arm it. So for those magic moments, if you're flying across the country or driving down or whatever it is, you want to remember it. And so I think it's worth it. And even myself, I'm a photographer, and I have a very high opinion of myself, and I think I do great photos, but I know that I can't shoot myself. There's certain limitations that even I have, as hard as that is to believe. So all of my good photos come from guys like this. I would rather trust a real photographer to do it than just somebody who happens to be walking by. I'm not going to hand my good camera to just some guest. So it's good to have them around, I think.
Okay. There are a lot of things that Disney does that Universal doesn't do, like the magic shots where you hold out your hand and Tinkerbell is going to show up, or Baby Groot or something like that. But the one thing I've seen, Annie, is that, and I feel like Disney was trying to go to this, is the automatic selfie shots. Like the one at the Jurassic in Jurassic World with, like, by the Jeep. Do you see a lot of people using those things? And that's part of the plan, right? The photo plan that they offer at Universal.
Yeah, I do see people using that. I'm really not even that sure how many people realize that they can get the photo pass option for a year. So I think there are people that maybe have those, and I think that's more appealing to those guests because they know that they can just kind of scan and take the photo versus someone that doesn't have like a pass to scan to. So I think the actual photographers are a better idea than the self scanners, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Kamila?
I will say, to me, the Photopass thing is kind of funny too, because I just feel like, particularly if you're in the parks, like most of us, I think, do not look great when we're in the parks. And so if I'm thinking about like I'm getting a professional photo taken, like I feel like the reason I personally stay away from it is because I know I look terrible. And the point is not, to look cute and get a photo taken. But, of course, sometimes people do celebrate big milestones. They're getting engaged, it's a honeymoon, whatever. And I feel like for situations like that, doing something like the capture your moment, which is where you can actually book and pay for a 20-minute session with a photographer. Like, to me, that makes a lot more sense. You still would have to purchase Memory Maker in order to actually get those photos, but I feel like rather than waiting in that 30-minute long or whatever to get the castle shot, I might prefer to get have my own personal session with someone if that's really important. And then the other thing that comes to mind, again, just thinking about me personally, not what the clients that I work with mostly do, I feel like if you're going on a cruise, that makes sense, absolutely, to take advantage of Photopass and the packages, the characters and all their special outfits. But for the parks, I don't know, I just struggle with the concept of it personally.
I love what you said about when you're in the parks, you don't want to remember that. You don't remember being hot and sweaty with your backpack on and all that kind of stuff. For me, I think early on in taking my family, I was never in any of the pictures because if I'm there with an actual camera and not a phone and doing selfie mode, I wouldn't have been in them. And I think my in-laws or my parents even were always like, "Did you go on this trip?" I was like, yes, I was the personal photographer for this crew, and then, man, don't they look incredible. So I think that, after having that included in my annual pass, it became one of those things I actually did more regularly. But again, hey, it means something to me to have a picture of my family together, so let me go and, get a moment. And honestly, and maybe Shannon, you felt this way too, I get a little giddy when I look and there's a Photopass person doing absolutely nothing, just standing there. I'm like, I don't even know what this is for, but I'm going to get my picture taken.
So actually, I had a magical moment with Photopass. So I returned to the park September 2020, so about 2 months after they reopened. And so it was still pretty dead at that time. And there was a photographer standing there doing nothing in the hub grass. And I said, "Can you take my picture?" And we had so much fun, a photo shoot. I'm jumping in the air, and they put in pixie dust where my hands were. And I said to the cast member, I was like, "Thank you for being here." And they said, "No, thank you for being here, because without you, we wouldn't be here." And we shared this moment of life will be good again. And so I think Photopass is for the appropriate people. You can definitely have fun with it. And like Kamila said, if I did have a special occasion, I would book. I used Disney Photography for my wedding there. They're great professionals. They do great work. So it's worth it in some aspects.
So let's take a look real quick at what is worth it. So if I look at this, here's the universal package. So for a one-day photo package, $70. I don't think that's worth it necessarily. A 3-day photo package is $89, and a 1-day Volcano Bay package is $39. So back to your point, Kamila, you certainly don't want lots of pictures of you all wet in a bathing suit, or me. I don't want that. So I'm maybe going to pay less if it's that's not a thing I want in my life. So then maybe that makes more sense to not do the Volcano Bay, or maybe it's cheaper. Maybe it's because it's a shorter day. I don't know. But you get $10 off the in-park price when you buy it in advance. So they're trying to encourage you to get it before you go. Same thing with Disney, right? So if I'm looking at Disney, this is Disney World, not Disneyland, but a one-day memory maker, $69, same thing. And buying it in advance, everything from your vacation, so it doesn't really matter how many days, it's $169. And then for the memory maker, I guess day of or in the parks, it's $199. Which certainly makes the one-time fee of $100, which I think is the same for Universal and Disney, if I'm not mistaken. That one-time fee of $100 feel a little bit easier to handle. But again, I think it just depends on whether you want it. But again, Annie, back to you on this one. Do you see a ton of people using it in Universal? Because I feel like it seems more like a Disney thing.
I think it is more of a Disney thing. One thing is that you can purchase, like I said, a year of the Photopass, the My Universal Photos. It's not on the website there. You have to do it in person, and it's $160 for the year. But, you know, they don't have the magic shots, which, you know, probably a controversial thing to say, but I think the magic shots are cheesy. I'm sorry. I mean, that it just makes me think of something that I would have been impressed, like, at Epcot in the 80s or the 90s. Like, wow, Tinkerbell's in my hand. Like, I mean, anybody can do that. Disney doesn't need, I mean, I could have a better Tinkerbell done by some stranger on the internet when I ask for a Photoshop. And like I said, I'm sorry, not trying to, I do think like I do think like the shots like from the castle where, you know, it zoomed in on you and then it zooms away and it's got the big shot, or those like ones where you, what do they have, the new one at Epcot, or there's the one that's at Galaxy's Edge where it kind of like makes the full 360 kind of shot or whatever. Yeah. Those are okay, but I think the, you know, hold your hand out is kind of a, you know, I wouldn't wait in line to do it.
We had a Photopass person at Disney Animal Kingdom tell us to do tiger paws, and I thought that my son was going to come at her with a white-hot vengeance about that, because it was like, really, lady, really? I'm not 7. Like, why are you asking me to do that? Again, I think photos, like on-ride photos, are a really cool thing to do, especially if you can capture a moment like this for the rest of your life. I mean, why wouldn't you want that immortalized forever and ever and ever, right?
Ride photos are great. You know, I fully support ride photos. That's probably the only reason I would say ever to get a Photopass.
Well, and you know what's funny is you go through an attraction and you get off the attraction and you look, and I'm trying, like, I guess the Mummy was like this. You get downstairs and you see all of those photos up, and now they've gotten to the point where it used to be people would take a picture of it, but then they put, like, you know, like watermarks over top of it just to be awful people. They would put the watermarks over top of it, but there usually were stations at the end of the attraction. I think there used to be one at the end of Dueling Dragons. There was like a whole little hut that was set up where, you know, you could go and check out your photo and decide to buy it. And now those places are just dead space. The one at the end of Dinosaur, the one at the end of Rock and Roller Coaster, the one at the end of Tower of Terror. It's just like they're not doing anything with those things anymore, because now you get it on, if you're at Disney World, you get it on your Magic Band. If you're at Universal, you swipe your card and you don't have to deal with that anymore. But do you think, Charlie, that people still go and have them, I mean, they must have them printed out at the park entrance at the end of the day?
No, I don't think so. They just moved the photo shop out front to what used to be half of the newsstand, and I think that's, I don't even know if they do prints there. They probably send away for it. Like, you can click it in your app. And so over there, pretty much all they do is tell you, go and look in your app. And like, for a long time, the Disneyland app was not handling day of Magic, whatever, Photopass Plus requests. This is before Genie Plus. Now it's all fixed. But before that, in the between time, you couldn't just buy it. So you'd have to go there and buy a little card and scan it on the app and everything. And they were very helpful for that, but I don't think anybody's doing prints of anything anymore. And even if you do it online, it's so much more expensive to do it there than at like Walgreens, which you can also just do from your phone. And I feel like a lot of people are familiar enough with that to where if you want to print, you're going to go and get a print somewhere else. You know, you're not going to pay $70 so you can put a sticker of Mickey on it there, or like a Frozen frame.
Yeah. That's a good point. The photo frame too thing that kind of goes along with the Tiger Paws. The photo frame where they go and hand you the big wooden photo frame and you hold it up.
See, those I like. I love they did the circular thing, like the photo prop for Disneyland's 67th anniversary today.
That's the one you did today? Okay.
And yeah. It's got it on my phone. It's cool. It's here. Like, it's a neat little photo prop, and it's nice, and it's something you're not going to get anywhere else. It's not a little digital sticker that you put on, because in the Disneyland app, when you used to be able to, like, edit your photos with the stickers and everything, in, like, 2019, you could do, like, hey, 60th anniversary stuff, and Halloween 2018, and, it was never right. So having this, it's here, it's done, that's it, and it's a nice little additive that, like, you're there. I always like those.
Well, but the frame, like the actual frame itself, would you do one of those? Because it looks like you were holding that off to the side, like you were a little bit anxious not to have it too close to you.
Oh no, I did a full photo shoot. I did all different ways. We did a prom photo. Like, I went nuts with that thing because the photographer was a good guy. We were having a good time with it, and so I just went crazy. I also met somebody at the home store in downtown Disney, and she a cast member was walking around me with my phone and did the whole thing. I love doing all of that. So
basically,
when I went to Florida, I did the frames.
Basically, when you roll into a park, you roll in with an entourage. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm completely alone. I just talk to a cast member and be like, hey, here's my camera, push that button, and then I just play around. And this is the only time I get photos of myself. So I'm going to take advantage of it.
Well, you know what? I mean, that's a good point. That's something I've done too. Not only the whole, like, getting the whole family in, but then having pictures taken of just me. I feel a little silly doing it sometimes. But, again, to your point earlier, Shannon, like when it's there and I paid for it, it seems like I should go ahead and, do the whole photo shoot. Or go full Charlie, as we're going to call it from now on. When you also go back and look at the past couple years with COVID, though, I mean, you also had to catch really important moments like this, where you can't really even tell. Like, it looks like the Invisible Man with, like, the mask and the glasses, like that kind of a situation. A lot of people said they wanted to remember moments like that because we were in an unprecedented time. So, that certainly is a time where you have those memories to stick with you. But Disney especially seems very committed to continuing the Photopass program. People still seem to want to do it, which is great. We still have, the photo frames from, like, Flower and Garden and things like that people are doing. So I think it's probably, I feel like for annual pass holders, it's a good thing. It's $100 to add on to Universal or to Disney, basically. I think it's worth having for those. I'm not sure how I feel about the one-day situation, though. So as we close this out, I just want to kind of go around and ask each of you if you think that this is worth it and any closing thoughts you have, and we'll start with you, Shannon.
Not for me personally. It's just my husband and I. He's not into Disney that much. He's sure not into taking photos. So I think if we had a family, it would be a different story. But for me, I don't need it.
Okay. Charlie?
I think it is useful. I love it. If you don't live right down the street from one of the theme parks, if you've traveled any amount of time to get there, you've spent some money already, and why not remember those in photos? But that's also, for me, I live and die by photos, so they're very, very important to me. And that's like when you have a wedding, you pay a lot of money for a photographer, more than a lot of them are worth. And you do it because you want to have those memories. And to me, a trip to Disney World, even if it's just for yourself, that's still something worth remembering. So I pay for the photographer every time.
Okay. 1 and 1. Kamila?
I do not want to remember how terrible I look on the park days.
I'm sure you don't. I'm sure
I promise you I do.
I'm sure you look magnificent.
I'm not like the rest of you. It's like you wouldn't even be able to recognize me. But I will say for my upcoming sailing on the Disney Wish, I do plan to purchase that. And, I feel like with the cruise, I can control, I'll actually get dressed. So I'll do pictures then.
Okay. and Annie.
I'm gonna say no, not worth it. In my experience, try to keep it short. I had a horrible experience that I got all ready to have photos taken by the Photopass. Had all these pictures taken in the Space Mountaineers. I was all dressed and ready, and every one of them was garbage, absolute garbage. So I say, do the capture your moment thing if like photos are really important to you. And I'm sweaty in the parks. I don't want to remember that either. So I'm done with you there.
I've seen you in the parks, and you bring it. So I mean, like that hat you were wearing the day I saw you. I mean, I think you probably need a photo. You need a personal photographer to follow you around. I think most of the time. I think that would be more in your wheelhouse. Kamali, you don't happen to know what the ones for the cruise line run, do you?
I want to say the hardcover book that you can get, I want to say it's like $139, and then I want to say it's $129 for the photos. It goes up depending on whether you purchase it before you're on board or after, but I want to say it's $129.
Okay.
There's also like a hardcover book you can buy.
I was going to look it up, but apparently it thinks I need a reservation, and I don't have one. So, all good. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it. We've had quite the cast of characters on tonight, so thank you guys so much. Charlie, great job your first time out. We hope to have you back talking about Disneyland again. Shannon, thank you so much for staying up late. I know this is way past your bedtime, so thank you for doing that. And Annie, thanks for hanging with us tonight. We really appreciate it and bringing us all that Universal news. And Kamila, as always, it's a pleasure, and I love that you hate the boats, so I'm sorry if I lean into that a little bit too much, but just needs to be done. So, a couple quick notes. One is if you like what you're watching, please make sure again to subscribe to WDWNT TV. Please make sure to give this video a like. It makes all of these people who have given their nights very happy to see a successful show. Also, we want to thank our WIGS members. We love our WIGS members, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. That is our Patreon program. If you are not a member, you should find out more about it at patreon.com/WDWNT. It includes great things like a post show, which our WDWNT Interglobe Society fans will experience right after this. I say fans, I mean friends. We loved hanging out with you guys at the 15th anniversary, and we're looking forward to hanging out with you guys at the next event we do. You'll get discounts and things and all that. So make sure to sign up. Patreon.com/WDWNT. Also, don't forget to check out Carousel Products, where we sell all kinds of Disney merch that we make because we like it and we want to wear it, and we hope you do too. So carouselproducts.com. And again, please make sure to tune in to all the great programming we have here. Thank you guys for all the work you guys do, and thanks for being on here, and we will see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Dun, 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 dun.